Before we were using matatus, and it was difficult. It was not easy.
Yes.
Moving around with the matatus to various locations, carrying those models. So now with the vehicle, you are able to take everything. That is how my entrepreneurship journey began.
That's how it began.
Yes.
Did you need some money to begin, like input in developing the models, buying material to develop? Or?
No, those ones we used in the university, we had what was called boom.
Oh, yes.
Boom. We used to get an allowance from the government. Every semester, when you report to the university, you got a small allowance just for upkeep. It was there. So, starting the seed capital to start that small enterprise was not much, because it's about, you buy cardboard, you buy some, few small things, paper and glue and few. They are not expensive. So the little savings from my student allowance, which came from the government, was enough to be enough for seed capital to start the enterprise. And after that, after we started earning and the more work came, we had sufficient working capital to buy all the materials required for the work. Remember, we were not paying rent.
Yes.
Because we had been given an office by the university. And then I also got a parking slot, because students don't have their own parkings there. So I went and talked to one of the heads of the students' hostels, and I was asked, can I have a parking? Because you can't just park everywhere. So I was given a parking slot somewhere, designated, where I used to park my car, safe and secure. Yeah.
And also, and just to, as a matter of just curiosity, how was the partnership, or how did you structure your partnership at that
with my friend?
Time, with your friend.
My friend was my classmate, and we used to work together, and we were 50-50. We were this small company, although it was not registered, it was a company. It was transacting business. We were earning, and we were sharing the money equally. But when we get the funds, we used to put some savings, because we need working capital to be able to buy materials for the next assignments. So that is how the enterprise journey began. But after finishing the university, that time now I have some savings. I also have a car. I'm thinking that my life will be an entrepreneur, because I had seen that it works if you get well organized, provide services, create an environment of performance, have some little stuff, and put systems that are working. So it is possible. But now I had to work because of experience. So one of my clients, or our clients with my partner, gave us, when they saw the skills we had and the competencies we had as students, even before we finished our 5th year, they told us, when you finish, we would like to give you a job, because your competencies are good, and you have demonstrated as a student that you're able to perform, very well, and keep up timelines, deliver products that are acceptable, and we got a lot of continuous work. So that firm of architects, one of our clients, offered us a job with my colleagues who we were doing that business, including the one who used to be the render, the one who was doing painting.
Yes, the painting.
He used to paint buildings for visual presentations. We got a job with him, and we were employed by one of the top firms of architects. They were called Symbion Architects. Symbion Architects. They were run by some foreigners, some British architects. They were the owners. So they used to be our clients while we were in the university. So they employed us, and that's how we build our training as architects, because we also needed to be registered. And we desired also to have our own firm of architects. So after working for a few years, my colleague, who was my classmate also.
That's how many years?
I worked 2 years in that firm, and worked 2 years in another firm. So total of 4 years.
4 years.
So in 4 years, I was registered also, because you need to work for a period to get registered. So I was able to be registered as a registered architect. because you do professional exams. So after 4 years, I found that we can start a business and found our own firm of architects. So in January 1994, my colleague, who was my workmate also and my former classmate, we started a firm of architects, our own firm called Dimensions Architects. January 1994.
1994.
Yeah. So that is when we started there. So we started off and I resigned. He also resigned. We teamed up.
What did the employment do for you in terms of equipping you to get to the next level?
The 4 years were very, very useful. The 4 years we worked for, the two firms of architects I worked for were very established and they were very recognized leading firms in East Africa. And we were put under some serious responsibilities as architects, given very good jobs to do because they already had very good portfolio of work they were doing. They were also delivering high standard products in the market. They had also systems those two firms had put in what you can call proper operating systems of a functioning company, proper work ethics, good training, you are given proper responsibilities. You also interact with the very established clientele because you are given clients to deal with. Because this is a firm of architects, you have a whole pool of clients. You are assigned projects and you are the lead architect. And you are dealing with the established customers who own properties and they are developing. You attend meetings that are well structured. So I learned how to be organized, well structured, how to deal with people, how to work within a professional work environment. I also saw how they manage staff matters, how they manage clients, how they do their work in a proper way. That was very, very important training because that you do not learn in the university or elsewhere. And I was very keen to see how they run their business, how they execute their assignments, how they deliver their products. So it was a very good training ground. But all the time I was there, I had been saying I also need to run my own farm practice like this one, how I see them doing the work. So I was also keen to learn, but at the same time wanting to use that as a template of our own firm of architects who like to establish with similar standards, high caliber work, well established and going for the market in a very professional way. So we left the work life with the right mindset, good training, 4 years of very good training and very good exposure. And so in 1994, we started our own firm of architects, small, and we started building our brand. And we, over the years, the firm is still there today. Dimensions Architects. I was able to do several projects. It became an East and Central Africa firm. We opened over the years. We became very established in Kenya, became very professional, competed with the best, were ranked among the ones that were performing very well, opened an office in Uganda, we opened what is called Dimensions Uganda, became very established, still there today, became one of the leading firm of architects in Uganda. Then we expanded to Rwanda, started off there, opened Dimensions Architects Rwanda, became one of the leading firms of architects in Rwanda.
Yes.
Over the period. So we were growing and expanding into the East Africa region.
That means Kenya was doing very well for you to start moving out.
Actually, the reason we moved out is because Kenya was not doing well.
How so?
When we got out, when we set up our farm in 1994, the business environment was very bad in Kenya. During the time of President Moi, the economy was not doing well. And you can talk to many entrepreneurs. Many Kenyans left Kenya at the time, in the 90s. In the late 80s, in the early 90s, many Kenyans left Kenya for better opportunities. So when we opened,
just before you
Yes.
go on, Mr. Lee, how was that so? Is it because the environment in terms of registration and what have you? What exactly was happening at the economy at that particular time?
during the economic policies during President Moi's time were not conducive to business. For some reason, businesses were not prospering. The economy was very tight. Corruption was also high. And we had the IMF and World Bank actually were managing quite a bit of our decisions in terms of Bretton Woods institutions. Kenya was under some serious management. When the economy was not doing well, Kenya went into some long-term management by both IMF and World Bank. They stepped in because they had to provide us with loans and so forth. And throughout that period, when the Bretton Woods institutions were taking care of our economy, the economy was not doing well in the 90s. So, and particularly the early 90s. So we decided that we had started our firm of architects in 1994. The economic environment was very tough. And we were, that's where you are tested, because now you have to persevere.
Yes.
Do you go back to work or do you continue? Resilience is tested very early. So we made a decision, no, we cannot go back to work. We cannot go back to to our work environment.
Yes.
Let's look at alternative ways of thriving, because it was very tough in terms of incomes. It was a startup. The business environment had shrunk, and we said, let's expand and try out Uganda.
So you're not meeting your needs in the family at
Yes,
that particular
yes.
point?
In fact, yes.
And you are expanding to Uganda?
Yes, so we had to use our little savings. We were getting some little work, but that little work we were getting was not sufficient to meet our needs.
Yes.
And I had a young family.
Yes.
So luckily my wife was working, and she was supplementing the family income. That was, we had already looked at that we have a fallback.
Yes.
In the family. We considered that with my wife.
Yeah.
She was working, and we told her, just in case our business does not pick quickly, please be on the standby. And she did a great job. She was availing her income. She was working in a company that was steady, and we agreed, please supplement the gaps when they come. And she did supplement the gaps. In fact, sometimes we would go for a month or two without clients paying, because you are in an economic environment where our own clients were struggling.
Yeah.
So you get very periodic incomes. And she would support me with a little bit of money to make sure that I'm moving. And that was very great support from my wife. She's called Consolata.
Yeah.
And she understood that startups and enterprise is not easy. And the best thing you can do is to support your husband or the spouse.
Some will have broken their families at that particular point.
Yes, it was I would say it tests you. You have a young family, you have left a paying job and gone into enterprise, startup, very low incomes, you have young children. So it was a difficult period, but I thank God also, because she stood with me and supplemented where we had gaps. And eventually we found that the best way to open up new frontier was to think out of Kenya, because the situation was not improving.
Yeah.
And that is how we ended up going to Uganda. And we were going by bus, by the way. The incomes were low.
So how many partners are we talking about here at this particular time?
We were with my partner. We were two of us. Yeah, we were two of us.
Okay.
But we had some small staff, skeleton staff at the time. So just a small core staff in the office.
You had an office at that particular time?
Yeah, we had a small office. Okay. Yeah, when we opened our company, we opened a small office. We took a small guest wing, a guest house, call it a guest house. A guest house from a main house somebody had built on Gong Road. Somebody had built a small unit for guests as part of an extension to their main house. So it was I would say that it was a two-bedroomed unit, cottage type, and it was just sufficient for us. So the lounge, we converted it into the main reception, and the 2 offices we were using, and just small. So we converted it into a small office. It was a 2-bedroom unit meant for a guest house, as part of a main house owned by somebody on Gong Road. That's where we put up our first farm, our first offices. And luckily it had some little compound, some parking. So we were able to do our work and do it well. It was a startup, but not easy. So while we were there, with the little amounts we were getting from the clients at the time, we were still practicing but not doing big work. We decided to venture through a friend into Uganda. One of an architect in Uganda was a friend of ours. He gave us an olive branch, said, visit me in Uganda, see if there is something we can do together. So we visited him in Uganda. He had some clients and he said we can partner and do some work together. So we used to commute to Kampala. By a Kamba bus.
Yes, a Kamba.
Yeah, we became very regular.
Yeah.
We were always on the bus. We leave here in the evening, we reach Kampala in the morning, 10 o'clock, freshen up and go into meetings. You don't go to sleep. No, there's no time to sleep here.
Yes.
We get to Kampala, because they are Kamba bus, we used to live here, cross the border through in the night. It gets to Kampala.
That is through Malaba.
Through Malaba. We have some, at night we have a little snack in Eldoret. Yeah? Stops in Eldoret, small snack, continue to Malaba.
Yeah.
Cross Malaba, almost morning, about 5 a.m. in the morning, you're crossing Malaba. And then continue into, spend about an hour there, people take a little break. The following morning, you cross and go through Jinja, all the way to Kampala. That became part of our life. Spend a few days there, maybe up to 1 week, take a small motel, stay there, and work from there. And we attended our clients, and we worked with our client, a friend of the architect who was our host. And then through that, we learned about Kampala, about Uganda, working with our architect. He was a Ugandan architect.
Yes.
So he had some good clients, but he didn't have capacity. He knew we were good architects, so he used to pass work to us. And that's how we started establishing networks and contacts. Unfortunately, we did one very good job, very well paying, but the money came through him.
Yes.
And he used all the money.
He did not
pay us.
He communicated the same to you.
Yeah, he said the money has been utilized through the project, and he had so many expenses. So when we went to Kampala to receive our portion, he broke a very bad news to us. He said, this enterprise world sometimes doesn't pay. You do work and all the expenses take up all your pay. So I have nothing for you. And we knew we had earned very good money.
And working after how long?
We had worked for 6 months on a very good project, and we knew this would work out very well. So we encountered a very big challenge. Having worked, we had spent all our money in and out of Kenya to Uganda. This project was it was a hotel project, very good project. But our Ugandan colleague, architect, was not an honest man. So when he received this money into his account, he decided to use it all. So we tried to explain to him that, we have worked for 6 months. We are still a young firm of architects. He said, no, all the money is utilized through the expenses. The expenses were even more than the income. So in that meeting, what he did, he presented us with an invoice to top up the balance. He told us, not only we earned this amount of money, but we have expended here in Uganda more, so negative. Can you top up the portion of the difference? So he gave us an invoice. After working for 6 months, he said, get some money from Nairobi, top up.
Was it making sense for you?
How does it make sense? You have worked for somebody for 6 months.
Yes.
You have earned money. He has been paid lots of money. And now you go to collect the money. We had gone to collect the money. And he tells you that not only that money has been fully utilized, but he said his total expenses exceeded the income, and now he presented us with an invoice to top up.
A debt.
Yeah, he said, by the way, you owe me money. It was a very serious meeting. We looked at each other with my partner, and he's saying, do you have the money? This Ugandan architect to pay me up because I have actually subsidy. Things you cannot comprehend.
Yeah.
Then I realized this world of entrepreneurship is very difficult.
Is that the first time you're encountering that kind of
That's the first time as an entrepreneur I encountered a fraud. You are being frauded by your partner, because that man was our business partner. Yes. This is the first time I was encountering a fraud.
How much money was it? Are we talking about here?
At the time, Kenya money was about 6 million.
Oh, those years,
it was about 6 million Kenya money. And out of that, we were expecting about 3 million. Yes, 3 million. So he told us we owed him at the time. He wanted like a refund of extra expenses of about 500,000 Kenya shillings, and we have no money.
Yes.
So it was a very bad encounter. So we said, oh, we are leaving Uganda. We will never come back. We have been defrauded by our fellow architect, and he was very calm. I realized this enterprise world is very difficult.
Yes.
And he's asking us to pay him money. So we said, this thing, you can't comprehend this. Entrepreneurship is not easy. So we came back to Kenya, and we were the ones who were, all the work we were doing, that project, it was a hotel project. The work we were doing was the main work that was driving that project. So we withdrew. We came back to Kenya to think the next course of action. So in that instance, the client, the hotel owner, realized that his work was not getting done. The drawings were not coming. Remember, we were the main capacity. We were the main architects, although behind the Ugandan architect.
Yes.
He was only doing client liaison and client management, but we were doing all the work. So when we withdrew our services, the project stalled in terms of information. And the owners said there must be something terribly wrong. How come there is no more information coming? The project information, the consultants I used to see from Kenya, I don't see them anymore. The Ugandan architects tried to cover up, but he was told by his clients, because they were not our clients, that you must tell us what happened. What happened? How come there is no more information? So he had to reach out to us and said, by the way, although we have a disagreement on money, our client still needs information. We told him we cannot provide you with more information.
Yes.
So we told him, we will find how we shall handle this matter. So what we decided to do, he told us this project has stalled and no more information is coming. As professionals, you cannot hold the information. So what we decided to do with my partner was to speak directly to the client, because we had the contacts of the client. We called the client, the owner of the hotel. It was a board of directors. We called the chairman and told him, we hear you are looking for information. The majority of the information on your project in Kampala came from us here in Nairobi, but we have withdrawn our services because the architect you contracted has stolen our money. We are aware you paid a lot of money, but he did not pass even a coin to us. And in fact, he has given us a bill for extra expenses. So we are out of Uganda. No, the chairman told us, no, please, I want you to come and see me directly, not through my contracted architect, but come to Kampala, I meet you. So we organized and we went to Akamba. He gave us the date to go to Kampala. He was the chairman of the board of that company, and he gave us an appointment and we went and met him and explained exactly what had happened. He was very saddened by the state of affairs, and he had liked us and the way we work. So he told us, what you do, go back to Nairobi. I will discuss this matter with my board, and I will come back to you. So we came back to Nairobi. After a bit of time, he called and said, I want you to come back again to Kampala for another second discussion. So we struggled, because now we were dealing with the chairman of the company. We took a Kamba bus, and we were with him the day he asked us to be there. So we went, and he told us the board has met, they listened to what has happened to you, and we have already terminated the services of the other architect, and now we have a letter to appoint you as our architect, direct appointment, and from today, you are going to be our service providers. We want to agree your fees, and we will move with you. That's what happened.
The challenge became a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. So we were appointed as the architects, and that was the basis of our entry to Uganda. So we got very good fees from that project. The other architect was terminated, sent home, the one who stole money from us, and we did a good job. The clients were very happy. So while we were there, we used the time to now understand the market. As we were working for this specific client, we got ourselves in the market properly, and we met many people slowly, and we started our firm of architects in Uganda, and we became very established, and eventually became a leading firm of architects.
What was your proudest project in Uganda?
Yeah.
What was your proudest project in Uganda?
We have in Uganda, we did quite a number of projects. We in Uganda, as an architect, as Dimensions Architects Uganda, we were able to do the Barclays headquarters there.
Barclays headquarters.
Yeah, Barclays Bank headquarters there.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to do what is called the World Food Program headquarters for the UN.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did one of the best residential estates called Royal Palms in Uganda. It's still, I think, the finest even now.
Wow.
A residential estate in Uganda called Royal Palms.
Mm-hmm.
And the clients were very happy. And then we continued to do, we also did a school called GEMS School. Very high class school in Uganda called GEMS School.
Yeah, we have a branch here.
Yeah, yes, the Uganda version, and many other projects in Uganda. So our Uganda experience grew. We also got a partner, another partner from Kenya, to go and head our branch in Uganda. And then he went there. He's still there even now. He's the managing partner of Dimensions Uganda. And then we also created a proper system, registered, employed several people, some Ugandan architects, and became local. It's a local company providing a lot of services. It's still one of the premier architects in Uganda.
Is that where now you got to the tipping point where the problems of money?
Yes, we solved. Actually, by going to Uganda, we solved our personal money problems.
Yes.
Because we got very good incomes there.
Yeah.
And then out of Uganda, we got some very good contacts, some Ugandans who are our clients, and they were very happy. They are the ones who introduced us to Rwanda. So we went to Rwanda, established ourselves, got clients, and put up a full company in Rwanda, Dimensions Architects Rwanda. And we got involved in tendering and private sector clients. And we did a lot of work in Rwanda over the years, including the central bank. We even won an international tender to refurbish and improve and extend the central bank of Rwanda. So we did that major extension to it was one of the most prominent projects in Rwanda. We also did several other projects in Rwanda. There's also another bank called Bank Commercial, the commercial bank of Rwanda.
The commercial bank of
They wanted extensions and improvements. We did that also. Several exclusive homes and apartments. And we worked for very good clients over time in Rwanda, and they established ourselves.
At this point, what is happening to you in terms of the growth of the mind, in terms of managing the business? Because we have different elements in that business, including now getting qualified employees or other good people to be able to work for you. We have other things
We had to keep learning.
Yes.
You see, now we were growing. We had the Kenya practice also started picking. As time went, the Kenya practice started picking again. The Ugandan practice was very busy, Rwanda practice. So we created a group. Now we became a group. Now we had to learn how to do dynamics, because each country has different laws. Tax returns for different country, employment conditions for different country. So even payments for, like in Rwanda, we had to learn how to, they were paying the local currency. They don't pay you in dollars. So we had to open even our accounts in Rwanda francs. So we used to invoice our bills in francs, Rwanda francs. You localize your operations, you learn the local laws, you learn the local environment, the employment conditions, work visas for ourselves, work permits. You know, all these things you learn now because you are an East African company. Yes, we had to learn those things very quickly. Early. In Uganda, learn how to work with the Uganda shilling, with the local people, local clientele, because they are you must understand the local conditions. So, and now still we have a group here which has to have the dynamics of staffing, make sure that you are paying people how you are paid. Also, I had to open dollar accounts because some of the projects you are paid in dollars, and you have to learn how to remit money. And then you, of course, as you remit money here, there are also, of course, taxes. When you earn foreign money and coming into Kenya, there are some taxes to pay. You have to pay the local taxes. So we had to quickly learn how to operate an East African company. And and staffing, because remember we have some Rwandese employees, you have Ugandan employees, you have Kenyan employees. You have a group here you are running. So we had to learn how to move.
The different cultures.
Yes. And we have to keep traveling. So I had to keep traveling.
Did you get partners in all those other countries in terms of...
Kenyans, we sent Kenyan partners.
Okay.
Yeah. Then they get work permits.
Okay.
We sent Kenyan partners. And of course now we got good earnings. And then of course now changed our mode of travel to air. Now we could afford to take flights.
No more Kamba.
We migrated from a Kamba bus to Uganda Airlines, Kenya Airways, Rwanda Air. So we all the time traveling for quite some time.
The skill of getting good people.
Yes.
Is it something that you had in you, or is it something that developed over time?
To identify good people, you really go out for, because we positioned ourselves for niche market, good architecture, good practice, excellence. So we had to identify people who had very good skills by looking at, with architecture, you can see from somebody's portfolio the ability to design, and also going for those who have worked in well-established firms. So we had to source carefully from those with expertise and experience from good firms of architects. So that is how we went, and we ran the practice for many years, from 1994. But in the year 2000, 11 years later, we were very active. After 11 years of business, I wanted to diversify and become a developer. So in the year 2004, actually 10 years, after 10 years of very busy life in the East African region, and we were also making good incomes, I wanted to move on to be a developer, because I always wanted to grow. So in the year 2004, I actively started looking at, this is after 10 years of active architecture, how I can diversify. So by year 2005, I became a developer of real estate. So now I had to move hybrid, developer and architect, because the firm of architect was still very active. But now I got into developments. And that is how we have moved. So from 2005 up to now is now 16 years. I've been a real estate developer and hospitality also. So resorts and cities that I chair, where I'm the executive chair, is a real estate and a hospitality development company. We have been building ourselves and portfolio over time. and we have done various real estate projects here in Nairobi, and we now run an active real estate company and hospitality company, and we have to learn now the mindset from an owner of a firm of architects to be a real estate and a hospitality development company. Is now became the second test of entrepreneurship. Yes. So now, as a developer, I've been a developer now for 16 years. And about 6 years ago, I now retired from active architecture. 6 years ago. So now we are actively involved in developments. And I found that I needed to retire from active architecture because of concentrating on this business of real estate development as an entrepreneur. Although I have been it on now for 16 years, but so I continued as an architect for another 10 years. Architect and developer at the same time.
What is the difference between the two?
An architect is a service provider to developers. An architect designs and heads teams, and the client of an architect is a real estate developer. A developer is somebody who puts up buildings. That is a developer. A developer is somebody who puts up, office building, homes for sale. Anybody who is undertaking a development, whether it's a school, hospital, that to us was our client. That is, but the architect is a service provider
for the developer.
It's a service. You are a consultant. An architect is a consultant. Is a consultant who puts together a project team, provides services, oversees the construction of somebody else's property, and you are paid fees for that. It's a business. You are paid fees. You are paid consultancy fees for overseeing and overlooking and delivering a whole project to completion. But it's not your money. It's somebody else's money.
Let me ask this, Mr. Lee. There is the element whereby if I'm an architect, I can be the one who designs and manage the construction of the development. And most people, in my estimation, would not be able to build something that you are able to build across like East Africa, because the business rests with them as individuals, for that matter. What is the tweak in here that
you see, the service of an architect and an owner of a firm of architects is that you head a team, a professional team of consultants, engineers, surveyors, quantity surveyor. You have got landscape architect. So as a team leader, you head a consortium of building consultants. But your client is the developer, is the person who owns land and wants to put up a property. That is your client. These are laymen. Maybe an owner of an office building who says, I have got land, I want to put up an office building. And that person is simply an investor. But they need somebody who can come, design the building, put together, tender it, look for contractors, and create something. But this owner, who is a promoter or a developer, borrows money from the bank, owns the land, and they say, this is my investment, but you deliver all the services, show me how to do it, design it, get me the contractors, supervise it, oversee, up to completion. So as an architect, when the project is finished, you simply tell the owner, your building is done.
You can have the keys.
You have the keys. And we are the ones who also look for the contractors, the builders. We tender, bring the builders on board, bring all the expertise, advice. The whole construction management is seen by the building team of consultants. That's what we used to do. And it's an enterprise. Running that's an enterprise, and you are paid for fees for it.
Yeah.
and you earn and you run a livelihood, and it is a busy life.
Yes.
But now I wanted to be on the other side,
Of
to be the owner of the building,
To be the owner of the building.
and to have architects working for me.
Yes.
So that is now how we work. So now we are owners.
How did it begin? What was the beginning point of that?
That is what I was saying. In the year 2004,
Yes.
after 10 years of being a consultant,
Yes.
I felt I really needed to now be an owner
Yeah.
of buildings and properties. That is called a developer, or at least real estate developer.
What was the first?
Yes, so the first one was, now this is the migration,
Yes.
was a joint venture. So a family, somebody who is one of the great, a friend, but also within the greater family, had some land in Kileleshwa, but they didn't know what to do with it. And they approached me first as an architect and said, we have this 1 acre of land in Kileleshwa, and we have been thinking of doing some, building there, but we don't know how to go about it. You are our friend and extended family member. Can you advise? So I thought, by the way, this is an opportunity. I've been thinking how to be a developer. Why don't I partner with this family and we work together? So in return, when he came for an answer way forward, I told them, by the way, I've been preparing to become also a developer. Why don't we partner and work together? So I had now, and he said yes. So I had now to learn to migrate from a consultant to be a developer. So I went to the 1 acre of land, now looked at it from the eyes of an owner. And that's how we started our first project. So we put it together, we designed, and we came up with the apartments. We agreed we'd do 24 apartments in Kileleshwa.
Yes.
So, and he said, okay, let us pool our resources together. He said, I'll bring the land, you go look for the money, bring it, and we build the apartments and sell.
And you build the apartments.
Yeah, so that is how the second phase of my journey as an entrepreneur came, by being an owner of developments.
So it came with the new skills.
Yeah. Now this is a different type of, now you are an investor. You are now putting up properties, using your money.
Yes.
You have to now learn to work with the banks and borrow money. You have to now now the consultants, you have to pay them now. Now you pay consultants to work for you.
Yes.
You are now an investor. You're an entrepreneur at a different level. You have to deal with the bigger capital. You have to own land. You have to be able to borrow money and pay banks. This was a new journey. You have to mobilize a lot of capital.
What have you learned over the number of years being in this?
Now, for the 16 years, I've been a developer, and also, our resorts and cities. We now are real estate and hospitality developers. What we have learned is that the whole science of an entrepreneur, you need to be very serious about the work you are doing. You have to also work out programs where you put a proper system of your company, a functioning company. You have to create ways of mobilizing your capital. You have to deliver market expectations. It's a very important process of understanding the journey of an entrepreneur, because also the risks are very high. You are now dealing with the banks. You have to pay loans. You are borrowing.
Derek is asking us to change the battery.
I think we can even do another session later. For now, I think you have enough information.
Yeah, sure.